complaints pour in, the city continues investigating claims of bad taste in its drinking water. Neighborhood News reporter Alexa Scott investigates the pipeline problem Corpus Christi is facing. Plus, as measles cases multiply, how can you be prepared if infection reaches your neighborhood? Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam is speaking with health officials across the coastal bend to find answers. KRIS 6 News starts now. And we thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Lascano. 2 months ago, the measles outbreak was a drop in the bucket with just 49 cases. Now that drop has turned into a puddle with nearly 500 confirmed cases and 2 deaths. Over the weekend, an 8-year-old girl in Lubbock died from the illness. A month prior, a 6-year-old girl also died from the illness in the same area. Both children were unvaccinated. Neighborhood News reporter Adam Beam met up with San Patricio County Health Authority Dr. James Mobley, who explained where the disease can thrive and who's most at risk.
The measles basically feeds on unvaccinated children and unvaccinated adults. And of course, if an adult catches measles, it's much more serious. So as long as we have an unvaccinated population out there, and we do have definitely pockets of that, there's the potential for that to spread.
Now, according to the state health department, right now there are 480 cases in Texas alone, with cases now appearing in other states as well. So, question is, what causes measles? Well, a highly contagious virus that can be fatal for small children. The disease kills more than 200,000 people annually, and the majority of those deaths involve children. Measles causes a red, blotchy rash that usually appears first on the face and behind the ears. The signs and symptoms of the disease appear around 10 to 14 days after exposure to the virus. Other symptoms include fever, dry cough, runny nose, and sore throat. The best way to stay protected against measles is to get vaccinated. According to the CDC, the measles, mumps, and rubella, or MMR vaccine, is 93% effective against measles after 1 dose and 97% effective against measles after 2. Children should get 2 doses of the MMR vaccine. The first dose when they're between 12 and 15 months of age, the second when they're about 4 years old, before they start school. Older children or adults can also get vaccinated if they didn't get the vaccine as a child. However, people born before 1957 are likely to have been naturally infected, which means they already have immunity. Well, after reports about bad taste and bad smell in drinking water, city leaders are reassuring that our water is safe. More than 40 neighbors have claimed their water tasted or smelled unusual. We're told it may be because a new blend of water sources flowing through the pipes combined with increased rainfall. City crews have been dispatched to each service request location to conduct testing and confirm the water is up to TCEQ standards. KRIS 6 News is in the process of scheduling an interview with Corpus Christi Water Chief Operating Officer Drew Molly to dig deeper into what's causing the stink. The city's dealing with water woes of a different sort on the O.N. Stevens water treatment plant. A power outage at the plant on Saturday caused a temporary loss of pressure in the Calallen area. City says staff at the water treatment plant switched to a secondary line within minutes. In compliance with TCEQ requirements, the city has also been flushing water from fire hydrants in the Calallen area. Water sampling is also underway and will continue for several days. The outage was caused by a bird's nest. That's according to AEP. And of course, all these water issues originate from our dry conditions. We saw a bit of moisture over the weekend, but otherwise it's been the status quo. We're now joined by meteorologist Julia Quady. We've seen some cooler temperatures in the past few days. Does that continue, cooler temperatures?
Cooler temperatures will last just for the first half of our work week. We will start to see warmer temperatures return back to the forecast by Wednesday. Right now, we're looking at below average temperatures in the area, and that's due towards that cold front that passed through the area over the weekend and now being reinforced with high pressure. We're going to be looking at mostly sunny conditions and dry conditions that are going to be pretty much a staple here in the coastal bend for us this week. Right now, taking a look at our Whataburger Skycam over Whataburger Field. We can get a view of those gorgeous blue skies with that plentiful sunshine out there for us for this afternoon. Temperatures, again, are definitely on the cooler side, seeing most areas and neighborhoods well in towards the 70s, maybe barely making towards the upper 70s right now as it relates to those higher temperatures. Here in Corpus Christi, sitting at 73 degrees, 74 over in Robstown, 73 in Kingsville, and 75 over in Alice. Dry air is definitely being the more dominant factor in our forecast right now, adding to why we're going to see some more variability as it relates towards those warmer temperatures during the afternoon, but then seeing our temperatures truly plummet towards as low as the 40s for us by tonight. More details on that full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Leah Quade will look forward to that. A major crash involving an intoxicated 17-year-old sent a man to the hospital in critical condition last night. Happened about 10:30 at the intersection of SPID eastbound and Weber. Police say the teenager sped past a red light and struck a 26-year-old man on a motorcycle. The man was taken to a nearby hospital with life-threatening injuries. The driver of the car, who was not hurt, was arrested for assault with a vehicle while intoxicated. After being checked at the hospital, he was booked at the city detention center. The Nueces County Medical Examiner has identified the man who was found dead along Highway 77 Friday afternoon. The Nueces County Medical Examiner has identified the man who was found dead along Highway 77 Friday afternoon. He's 68-year-old Armando Bosques. His body was discovered on the side of the road just south of Leopard and Highway 77. Police say it appears Bosques was hit by a vehicle. Investigators were checking cameras in the area to try and identify the person who hit Mr. Bosques. DPS is investigating a fatal accident in B County. It involves a pedestrian. Happened just after 10:30 this past Saturday. According to DPS, 42-year-old Mary Perez ran across Highway 181 just south of Pettis and was hit by a car. Ms. Perez died at the scene.
I'm Melissa Trevino, your neighborhood news reporter in Alice. I've been out in the Rancho Alegre neighborhood seeing the continuous trash problem. Now, Juneau County Commissioner for this precinct says neighbors are finally working on cleaning up their community. That's Romeo Ramon. He's lived off of Cordona Street for over 20 years. He was out mowing grass on property that isn't his.
I'm doing this because we almost had an accident here the other day, and those branches here, they're overlapping, you can see nothing. So I thought I'd just go ahead and cut them.
He says the trash and overgrown grass.
Well, it is a problem that we have here, but people, they don't want to go to the dump site. They just throw it anywhere in the streets.
Ramon tells me,
people need to step it up, clean up.
Commissioner Precinct 1 George Aguilar agrees. I rode along with him a few months ago when he went out to see just how bad the problem was.
We made some progress in that.
He tells me that they are still educating the public, but neighbors have stepped up to clean. Before he took office, the commissioners adopted a nuisance abatement procedures, which addresses conditions that negatively impact public health and safety.
You cannot keep 100 junk cars in your property, your grass 3 feet tall. You can't just have litter all over your yard. That's considered a public nuisance.
Would you be able to say how many people have actually complied with cleaning up their properties?
We warned about 10 of those residents. Maybe about 6 of them have complied. There's still a few out there that are reluctant. For what reason, I do not know.
He says illegal dumping and nuisance abatement procedures go hand in hand. To continue the battle, they've put up these illegal dumping signs and more cameras in different parts of the county.
It looks a lot better. It looks cleaner, and we have about 96% of the people complying.
Commissioner George Aguilar says it's about keeping everything clean and safe. Covering your neighborhood news in Alice, I'm Melissa Trevino, Chris 6 News.
Melissa, thanks for that report from Alice. It's been a roller coaster on Wall Street and not one you'd be happy to ride. We look at the effects of tariffs on you and your stock portfolio. That's coming up next.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, tariffs have caused the stock market roller coaster, but not one you want to ride on. U.S. stocks opened the day in bear market territory, which means a 20% drop in value. An hour later, the stock market shot up after a rumor that President Trump would pause tariffs. Well, that rumor turned out to be nothing more after a White House official denied the claim, and in that time, the S&P 500 surged 8.5%, then dropped back down to its prior low. This comes as Trump publicly threatened additional tariffs against China if the country does not rescind its latest tariffs. So while our economy grapples with instability, you and your neighbors may be stockpiling your favorite goods before tariffs affect prices. Tonight, Scripps News Group's Ava Joy Burnett has details on how tariffs are changing the way you shop.
Consumers on edge with new tariffs taking effect over the weekend, and more are coming.
I think it's going to make the price of everything go up, at least in the short run.
In a new survey, 57% of U.S. adults say they believe tariffs will hurt the average American.
Shoppers are still wrapping their heads around what categories are going to be impacted.
Stephanie Carls is a retail insights expert.
Consumers are way more cautious and they want to stretch their dollar.
Data showing Americans were already pulling back in some areas, even ahead of the latest tariffs announcement.
Luxury spending is starting to go down a little bit. We're seeing restaurant attendance is starting to go down. Those are the first signs of people starting to pinch the pennies.
Some, like billionaire businessman Mark Cuban, encouraging people to stock up on consumables before tariffs potentially bump up prices. But that might not be smart, according to supply chain expert Kimberly Reuter.
It creates a trickle effect because what it does is it artificially increases the price of the product, right? Because now it's in quote unquote high demand.
But in a survey taken before President Trump took office, 43% of consumers said they'd be more likely to stockpile goods ahead of future tariffs. Reuters says this time we can learn from past instances of stockpiling, like what we saw during the pandemic.
We created more of a crisis in COVID than really existed. What we learned is don't panic. Don't go out there and react to everything that's going on in the market.
Ava Joy Burnett, Scripps News Group, Washington.
In other national news, tariffs have forced President Trump to award an extension for TikTok to find a new buyer. The president had previously set a Saturday deadline for the app to be sold by a Chinese company to a U.S. buyer. Trump says they were, quote, close to a deal, but China changed its mind because of sweeping tariffs. The deadline has been extended by 75 days for the app to be sold to a U.S. company. Reportedly, Amazon could be in the running to buy the social media platform.
All right, now taking it outside, looking at our Skycam over SPID, see those roadways are beginning to get a little bit more busy as folks potentially start to make their way on home from work. These are the type of conditions you can expect as you start to hit those roads for your afternoon/evening commute. Let's go and take a look at those roadways. Heading from Portland over to the Harbor Bridge in both directions, looking at a pretty easy and clear drive right now at this moment. Moving now towards downtown, pretty much all clear for the most part. Ocean Drive, expected to see some areas where you will have to experience a bit of some medium speed, as well as on parts of SPID and Saratoga at this hour. Just make sure you keep that in mind. Heading on Flower Bluff, same thing happening on Waldron Road and Flower Bluff Drive, but then all clear on the JFK Causeway going to and from the island. That's it for Triport. For details of your forecast after the break. Hey there, welcome back. I'm meteorologist Julia Quady. Got all that sunshine out there for us throughout the coastal bend. We are seeing that. We are looking at below average temperatures, though, just because of that cold front that passed through this past weekend. Right now, taking a look at our live Sand Dollar City Skycam over at Port A, we can see some folks are taking advantage of those beautiful blue skies and beautiful sunshine out there, taking some time to head out over towards those beaches. A little chilly for me, just those winds coming in from the northeast, and also with those below average temperatures, but maybe some still nice enough conditions for folks who want to take advantage of that. We see those winds coming in from the northeast, going a little bit faster and breezier for areas that are along the coast, clocking around 10 miles an hour here in Corpus Christi, 14-mile-an-hour winds over in the Bluff, and 13-mile-an-hour winds over in Port Aransas. We can see those temperatures are taking a bit of a dip right now, well below average because of that cold front that passed through over this weekend. Now those same conditions are now being reinforced with high pressure, keeping us locked in with a dry weather pattern that's going to last throughout the majority of our work week. Here in Corpus Christi, sitting at 73 degrees, 74 over in Robstown, 73 in Kingsville, 75 over in Alice. Across the coastal bend, just looking at those temperatures really varying just by the lower, maybe getting towards those mid-70s for those current temperatures. And now taking a quick look at our Chris 6 Weather Network, we can see temperatures over on the south side also being towards that same range, just in towards the lower, maybe towards the mid 70s throughout some locations. But again, well below average temperatures that we have in place right now because of that cold front's passage last weekend. So we can see we're looking at average temperatures should be around the low 80s. Right now we are sitting at those temperatures towards the 70s. So again, well below average temperatures that are currently in place just because of where our weather pattern is at the moment. And we can see with our big weather picture, high pressure is just going to be off towards our west. So it's going to leave us with very dry conditions that will be reinforced here in the coastal bend. And we'll see that represented in our dew point values still being towards that dry range. But this is what else we can expect in terms of what you can look forward to in your forecast this week. Again, abundant sunshine that's going to last all week just because of high pressure that promotes all that sunshine that we'll see in the forecast this week. We'll see humid and hotter temperatures on the way by the midweek. We'll see our temperatures finally begin to approach at least near average towards the lower 80s, then begin to bump up above that towards the end of this week. But then with high pressure and, of course, with dry air still going to be reinforced in the area, that's going to essentially mean no rain that's going to be truly possible in our forecast for this week. Now, another thing you might notice that we saw our temperatures kind of plummet quite a bit last night, and we expect again that to happen for us this evening tonight as well. And all that's going to be due is towards radiational cooling. So all those mild conditions that we have during the afternoon because of those clear night skies and light winds, we're going to see all that start to get released towards the upper levels of the atmosphere, leaving us here at the surface to be pretty chilly and cold. So that's why we'll see our temperatures fall towards the 40s throughout some parts of the coastal bend this evening. 49 degrees for our low temperature tonight here in Corpus Christi, lower 40s in areas like Refugio and Beeville. So to expect for that chill to be felt in the air if you have any late nighttime evening plans. But again, that moisture and humidity will start to rebound slowly but surely for us this week as our winds begin to shift back to a southeasterly flow by tomorrow. We'll start to see by for your Thursday and your Friday, muggy conditions will slowly somewhat start to return back to the forecast, and that's going to translate towards warmer temperatures for us for our afternoon high temperatures and for our evening lows. So look at your 7-day forecast, sunny and comfortable conditions, and we'll warm out throughout the rest of the week.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Well, the long-awaited Holly Road Train Trestle to Tourism Trail Project will be back on the City Council's agenda on Tuesday. In 2023, the city was awarded a $13 million grant to transform an old train trestle into a shared-use bike and walk path across the Oso Bay. It'll connect Holly Road to Flower Bluff Drive. So on Tuesday, Council will vote on an ordinance that would approve a funding agreement between the city and TxDOT to cover the project cost. That funding agreement is for just over $11 million. Hey, listen, do you have a citation to pay but can't make it to your court date? This announcement is for you. The city is holding community court at the library on Saturday, April 19th from 9 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon. Now, what you're going to be able to do here is speak with a judge to address tickets and violations, set up payment plans, and resolve any active warrants. It's going to be at the Janet F. Hart Public Library. That's at 2629 Waldron Road in Flower Bluff. All right, so Buck Days has reined in an iconic group of horses for its upcoming parade. You know what we're talking about here. The Budweiser Clydesdale set to appear in the parade on the 26th. The group of 8 massive horses will be stabled at La Palmera Mall from April 22nd to the 27th. They'll be available for pictures. They'll also join the Bud Light Night Parade at Whataburger Field on the 25th for their complete schedule. Visit our website, christv.com. All right, do you want to celebrate Easter with an egg hunt? The free egg hunt by the bay will have more than 15,000 eggs hidden across Water's Edge Park. Starts this Saturday, April 12th at noon. You can also bring your pets along and enjoy games, food trucks, prizes, and a visit from the Easter Bunny. The address, 602 South Shoreline Boulevard. Well, for the first time since 1984, Houston's men's basketball team has a chance to be named national champions. You want to stick around for more on tonight's big game at the Alamo Dome. Just here talking with Julie about the men's NCAA basketball tournament. You know, 68 teams entered the tournament, but tonight only one of them is going to host the championship trophy. We've been following the University of Houston's run in March Madness for a couple of weeks now. Cougars had that heroic comeback against Duke on Saturday. That's why they're in the title game. They were the underdog in that game, and their coach said that only motivated them more.
You got to have a stick. What is it that you do that where you can level the playing field a little bit, develop a chip on their shoulder?
So the Cougars are going to face the Florida Gators tonight in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Tip-off time is a little bit after 7 o'clock on KZTV. Right? There we go. All right. Here she is. Are you going to watch the game? I know you're an athlete,
Former.
but are you going to get into this?
I can appreciate. Yeah, I might watch it. I'll have it on. Maybe it's background noise, and because I can support. I can support also now. I'm an honorary Texan now, so
We appreciate it. What's it looking like the rest of the week?
Well, for the rest of the week, we can expect more of those sunny conditions that are going to last in the forecast. It's still going to be feeling comfortable. We'll slowly start to warm up as our winds start to shift over towards a southeast direction tomorrow, giving us some more moisture and humidity. But still, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous with just nearing to average temperatures later on in the week.
All right, Julie, we thank you for that. That's all for us for now at 6. We're back at 6 with more news from your neighborhood.